In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I made this Metro tracker using a Raspberry Pi and an e-ink display. You can see that it basically has the destination, the line that it's on, the current time, as well as when the next train is going to arrive. And I just think this is a really cool project, and I wanted to show you guys how I made it. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to get all the parts. So we're going to need a Raspberry Pi Zero, and we're going to also need an SD card. This is 128 gigs, but you do not need that much. And then we are going to need our Adafruit e-ink display. Everything will be linked below. And also I made this 3D printed part just to make it nicer. Next, we're just going to go ahead and assemble the parts, and this is actually relatively straightforward. We're just going to go ahead and put in our SD card with the Raspberry Pi software on it. And then we are going to take our 3D printed case, and we're just going to seat the Raspberry Pi on top of it. It should just snap right into place. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our e-ink display, and we're going to seat it on the pins. Make sure you line them up properly. I've messed this up a few times, and obviously if you don't get it perfectly right, it's not going to work, and nothing's going to just show up on your display. Next, we're just going to go ahead and plug in the power, and that's really all there is to this assembly. So it's actually very straightforward and pretty easy to do. Now I'm going to show you guys how to set up the software. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to navigate to my GitHub, which is github.com/RyanWA18. And on there you will see a repo called MetroPi. And we're just going to go ahead and click that. And then where it says code, we're going to go ahead and clone it. Clone it with HTTPS, so click the copy button. And then we're going to go ahead and open up our terminal. I'm using something called iTerm. So now we are going to SSH into our Raspberry Pi. So SSH Raspberry Pi .local, and then the user is Pi user. And then I'm going to log in. And now I'm going to go ahead and change directory. I always use a workspace directory to house all my repos. And I'm just going to go ahead and do git clone and then paste that link. And just like that, now we should have a MetroPi repo. And you can see that this has all of our code in it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to first just take a look at main.py to see what's in here. And this is all of the code, and it looks like we are going to need the API key. So I'm going to show you how to get that in just a second. So in order to get the API key, we're going to navigate to https://developer.wmata.com. And then from here, you're going to want to create an account. And since I already have one, I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. So now that I'm logged in, I'm going to go ahead and click products. And then we're going to go ahead and select defaults here. And then we're going to go ahead and select add subscription. And you can give it a name. I'm going to name this MetroPi. And you have to agree to their terms and then click confirm. So you can see that I already have a subscription name, and this is my old API key, and this is the new one, MetroPi. So as you can see, there's a primary key as well as a secondary key. We're going to go ahead and copy the primary key, and we're going to need this. So copy that. And then we're going to go back to our terminal where we have our Raspberry Pi. In order to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and open up the README file so you can see all of the instructions. So in this README file, I basically have all of the commands you have to run in order to get this to work. So as you can see, we are already in the MetroPi, so we've already done these first two steps. And now we're going to create a virtual environment. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it. and just hit enter. And this is going to take a minute, so just be patient. And now we are going to activate our virtual environment. So it's this next step, and I'm just going to type it out. So source bin activate. And now you can see that we are now in our Python virtual environment. And after we've done that, we can now install all of the necessary packages using pip install-r and then the requirements.txt. So again, just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. And basically what this virtual environment does is it only installs the packages in this requirements.txt inside of this virtual environment, and it doesn't install it on your system. And as you can see, it's going to install all of the necessary packages, and it's just going to take a few seconds. And just like that, we should have all the packages we need to run MetroPy. And the next step is to create a file named .env in the directory that we're in. So I'm going to use Vim. If you're not comfortable using Vim, you can use any text editor to do this. You can use Nano. You can use the GUI, the interface on the Raspberry Pi itself. But I'm just going to go ahead and use Vim. So vim.env. And then we need to basically type in metro underscore API underscore key is equal to, and then we'll give it our key. So I'm going to press I for insert, and then metro underscore API underscore key is equal to, and then in quotes, we're going to go back to our WMATA portal, and we're going to go ahead and copy the primary key that we got from the developer console. And we're just going to go ahead and paste that in. And then we're going to remember to add the closing quote, and then hit escape, and then shift : WQ to write it and quit. And just like that, we should now be good to run the program. So in order to run the program, all we have to do is type Python, and then main.py. And you can see that this is a good sign because it actually got the information, and it should update my Raspberry Pi with that information. You can see that we get the destination as well as the current location, the line, and then the arrival status. And you can see on the display that it actually updates to whatever this information outputs. And so now we can also press the buttons to change that information. And you can see that we now have a new station with a current location still on the red line, and you can see that the arrival is updated as well. It's really cool, and I hope you guys like it, and thank you for watching.